everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a sew along with you and I'm going to show you how I made these. So I've made a pair of culottes with the African print fabric I got from Dovetailed. It is actually the by hand London holly jumpsuit pattern. It's those trousers, and I thought that pattern would be a good pattern to use as a base for culottes because they're quite wide leg trousers. And actually, I think you say her name is Eliza Lex, I think is her name. I'm sorry if I've said that wrong, but she's one of the co-owners of By Hand London, and she actually did a blog post on their website about how to make the holly jumpsuit pattern into a pair of pleated culottes. So I basically just did exactly what she did. So I will put the link into the blog post below, and all the links to fabric, patterns, stuff like that I'll stick in the description. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring you along and you can sew along with me. Right, so I have my waistband piece and my pocket pieces because the first time I ever made a holly jumpsuit I did actually create pockets, and I added pockets to it because I love pockets. So I've already got those bits cut out, but now I need to modify my two leg pieces because I want to, well, I've seen the By Hand London team, I think it's Eliza Lex, she did a culotte version using the holly jumpsuit pattern, but she added like a pleat at the front to make the legs wider and a bit more flowy so that it does look more like a skirt. So I think I'm going to trace these pieces and then add 2 inches. Yeah, I think I'll add 2 inches. So I should fold this in half. So this is the front piece. Okay, I think this is gonna work. Sorry about all the tracing paper noise. Right, so let me roll. Right. Also, I don't need all the length of the trousers, so I'm just gonna quickly measure. I've already thought about this bit, and I am adding a waistband, so I'm just gonna shorten this and mark it at 30 inches. I think that'll be enough. I'm doing it from the waistline instead of like the crotch or anything because that's where I want the length from. So there's 30. Make sure it's straight. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll move that down to that straight edge and then I can just cut that off. Right, lay that down. So I'm only going to trace this side first to that middle point because I'm then going to have to move it over by 2 inches. Also, I'm cutting this piece at an angle because that's where my pocket's going to be, and I've already modified the pattern for that. Get these notches marked. I'm not one of those people that spends a lot of time and care when I cut out my pattern pieces. I don't know why, I just do it. Right, so now I'm gonna move this over, keeping the bottom straight, by 2 inches. So let me just get this ruler. That middle point's there. So that's 2 inches across. And now from the middle marking, I'm going to move that across. Make sure it's straight at the bottom. And then I will carry on. Continue that line across. I really hope this works because I'm quite excited about how this is going to look. Also, a lot of you did suggest that I do culottes, so that was quite nice. Also, on like the Pinterest board that I created of different like African print outfit ideas, one that came up an awful lot was culottes and like big full skirts and like culotte shorts and things like that. So, or skirts. Right, I think that's done it. So I just need to mark that 2 inch place there because I'm going to pleat it. So I'm going to fold in the fronts to meet each other in a pleat. That's what I'm hoping will work. So there's my first piece. Right, so I'm just going to add my green line to this. Just a very basic one, and then I'm going to put Holly trousers, culotte variation. They are size 8. Oh, I think that was the front piece that I just did. Oh yeah, because we've got a pocket. Front. I'll just label that as pleat so it all makes sense. Pocket. Right, well, I've marked all my notches on. I'll just go over those with my pen. Right, so now I'm going to cut that one out. Right, so now the back piece. So again, I'm just going to measure 30 inches down. I don't know if any of you use dressmaker's paper, but I find it like actually quite difficult to use. Not really difficult, just, I don't know, it annoys me how like crinkly it gets and how if you don't like cut it on a straight line it rips. Or maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a messy cutter. Right, so again I'm gonna find the midway point on these trousers. Put it there. Okay, I'm just going to label this bit at the top so that I know what that means. Right, so I'm going to do exactly the same again. It fits! Okay, I can do it this way, although it's going to be really hard for me to reach, but I'll make it work. Right, so move that ruler out of the way. I'm going to line up, use this straight edge of paper here to line up that 30-inch seam line, and then move you out the way with that. I use like literally whatever is near me. So I'm going to move this over this way and do this crotch side first. And then I'll move over to the next bit. That a bit more. I think we're good to go. Right, so I'm just going to mark that. Okay, so now from that point there, I need to measure 2 inches again. And then I need to move that point to there. Straighten it up at the bottom. Woohoo! That worked. On the By Hand London blog, I should have split it in half in between this pleat, the V pleat. So what I'm gonna have to do is, I'm sure it'll be fine, I just need a 2-inch pleat in the middle rather than, oh, how big is that? I should have done that, oh, that's 2. So maybe I'll do it in between those 2. So in the middle, it'll be there and there. I think that'll work. Maybe I'll just do 2 inches out from this bit, or I mean 2 inches, an inch to a big thing there, and 2 inches away from that big thing there, and then straighten this line. I think that'll work, because basically I need the box pleat in the center of the waist at the back so that it falls in the right place. So where the V is, the normal back pleat, I've marked from the center 1 inch out. Does that make sense? So basically the box pleat needs to be in the center of the back of the waist. It makes sense to me, but then I'm looking at it. So just make sure that when you copy me, don't make that mistake. Put the box pleat in the middle. Right, so now I've got all my pieces, I'm just gonna quickly press my pre-washed fabric and then we'll start cutting them out. Okay, so I've pre-washed my fabric from Dovetailed. Thank you to everyone who did comment. I have washed the fabric on like a really quick cool wash, and the waxy coating has sort of like come off, not come off completely, but it is a lot softer. So a lot of you have commented, but also the owner of Dovetail did contact me after she watched my video and said, if you do want it softer, you can wash it. If you want it stiff, then you can leave the waxy coating on it. The other thing that a lot of you have commented, and the owner of Dovetail told me, is that there is actually a right and wrong side, even though they look very similar, especially after you wash it. Now I've washed mine and I still can't really tell. But they said the easiest way to tell is the side with the branding and product numbers printed on is the right side. So if it reads the right way, then that's the right side. So I have double checked that I can cut this out because I didn't think about that before. So luckily I can cut out one perfect pair of culottes with this pattern and not much else. So there is no room for error. But I'm hoping that it will go swimmingly, so I'm just going to start cutting out my pieces. So this is the back piece. So all I've got is the back piece that I cut to, the front piece that I cut to, the pocket bag and the pocket facing, 2 of each, and the waistband. So it's not actually too much cutting, so I'm just going to do that now. I'm just marking the pieces with a pin on the right side so I know that that's the right way, otherwise I'll forget, because now I don't have the printed edging of the selvage as a reference, so I'm just putting a little pin in the right side so I don't forget. So there you go, that's all I had left. So this bit was folded, so I've only got that little bit there and this bit here. So luckily I didn't make any mistakes. Okay, so now that I've got all my pieces cut, the first thing I'm going to do is my pockets. So I've just got one of the trouser front pieces, and I know that this is the right side because I put a pin in it. So now I just need to get a pocket facing piece, so it'll be the one with the angled edge, and I need it so that it's right sides together. So this one has got the pin in it this side, so that's right sides together. So I'm just gonna pin along this edge on both front pieces, sew that with the seam allowance, and then I'll probably overlock or zigzag the edge. I might zigzag it because my overlocker has white thread in it at the moment and I can't be bothered to change it all to black. Okay, so I've sewn on one pocket facing and I've pressed all the seam allowance towards the pocket. I think if I hold up to the light there you can see the seam underneath, but now I'm just going to edge stitch this. So I'm going to stitch right along the edge so that I'm stitching on top of the seam allowance, and then thus hopefully it will naturally fold under so that when I'm wearing my trousers you won't see the seam line. And then you should have something like that. I know it's in black thread so it's pretty hard to see, but once I've got the pocket bag on, this will then be the pocket on the front of the trouser that you see, and that stitch line just helps it naturally fold the other way. Okay, so I've done the pocket facings on both front pieces now, and before I put the pocket bags on and then sew it down, I'm going to do my box pleats first. So I made two little snips where they need to be. So I'm going to fold those in half, well, join these little notches together and put a pin in the center. And then both of those little notches go towards the pin in the middle, and then that's where I'm going to sew them down. So there's one, and there's two. So the Holly trousers are using a 15mm seam allowance, so I'm going to just baste these with a longer stitch with a 10mm seam allowance, and then hopefully, well, I'm aiming for that to be completely hidden when I sew up the rest of my trousers. So I just need to do the exact same thing on the other front piece. And while I'm at it, I might do the box pleats on the back as well. So I'll just pin those all now. Okay, so I've done all the box pleats on every single leg. Now, because it's quite patterned, you can't really see it that obviously, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, as in it doesn't make it very obvious, but hopefully the shape of them will look so much nicer. So there's my box pleats. So now, because I've done all of those, I can now attach my pocket bags onto my pocket facings. So I just need to make sure I've got them right sides together. So that's that one. So I'm just going to pin them all the way around that long curve, and then sew the pocket bag just this outside curve, and then after I've finished it will fold back like that and then become the rest of the trouser with a little pocket in it. Okay, so once you have sewn your pocket bag together, you'll notice how I did that on the overlocker because I wasn't lazy and I have been using my overlocker because I did rethread it, so well done me. So once you've got that, you're then going to flip it to the other side so that the right side of the trouser piece is facing up. And then where that line of stitching we did on that angled pocket facing is, you should be able to flatten that out and then join the pocket bag flat to the trouser piece at the top. And then you're just going to pin that in place. And see how it was good that we did our box pleats first because they were going to go on top of those, so it would have been very difficult to put the box pleats in after we've sewn the pocket bag on. And then on the side, I just need to bring that away, make sure my pocket bag is nice and flat underneath, line it up to this edge, and then again pin it down this side. So like I did with the box pleats, I'm just going to use a 10cm seam allowance and just baste these edges all together, which will eventually be hidden in the side seams and in the waist, but it just means that I keep all my pieces nice and flat and I haven't got any like flailing bits of fabric that might become tangled in the rest of the sewing. So I'm just going to stitch those now. So once you've stitched your pocket bags down, it should look like this. So that top seam is nice and flat now, and on the sides it's like that with your pocket in the middle. So I've done both fronts, both with the front box pleat, both with the pockets and pocket bags. So now I can start assembling my trousers together. So the first thing I'm going to do is join the crotch seams of the back trouser pieces. So I'm just going to pin this crotch curve all the way along. So what I'm probably going to do is use my sewing machine to do my line of 15mm seam allowance, and then I'll probably open out the seam and then overlock each side to narrow it down a bit and just create an open seam so that I can open it out and keep it nice and flat for when I join the next piece together. So once you've done that, it should look, if you can see that, something like this. So I've used the iron as well to press it open. So it just lies a bit flatter and it looks a lot neater. So this is what it's looking like currently from the inside. And if I flip them over, you'll see my lovely, how they're going to look with their nice box pleats in them. Hopefully it's going to be quite a nice flowy culotte. So now all I need to do is that same crotch seam again, but on the two front pieces, and then we can join the inseams together. So I'm just going to repeat this exact same process on the front pieces. So I've now joined front and back crotch seams together. So now I can do the inseam. So I'm going to lay both trouser pieces on top of each other, right sides together, and then find both centers of the crotch seam, and I'm going to pin those together here, and then each side I'm going to pin the inner legs together on both sides, and then do exactly the same again, sewing with a 15mm, and then I'll just finish it off with the overlocker, but this time I'll probably just overlock the seams together because I can just press them to the back. So now I have my inner leg seam sewn up and overlocked, and then I've also with the front the back of the front facing upwards, you join the right hand seam together. So I've also done that. So the only thing I need to do on the trousers now to finish up this side is to insert the invisible zip. So I've got to do the zip first, and then you join the bottom up to the zip. So I'm just going to do that now. So I'm just going to pin it. If you've never done an invisible zip before, it's easier if you lay it out like this, you can actually see, but if you open out the front, you want the zip front to be facing downwards. So you're going to sew that side to that side and that side to that side. But if you had it open, it would be weird, because you just have to make sure that you're sewing that down to then turn over, and then you're doing the same on the other side. Does that make sense? But I hope it does. So I'm just going to pin it to this side first, and then I'll do it on the other side as well. I've just realised that I haven't overlocked these yet, and once I've got the zip on I won't be able to do that. So I'm just going to quickly take this off, and then I'm going to overlock the front left hand side and the back as well before I attach my zip, otherwise I'm going to struggle to do that after. Right, let's do that again. So now that I've got that pinned, I'm going to try and pull the zipper teeth as far away from the zip tape as I can, and stitch as close as I can to the teeth, really close in there. I am going to use a normal zipper foot. You can get an invisible zipper foot, but for some reason I prefer using a normal foot. I find it much easier. Okay, so I've done my invisible zip now, so I'm just going to pinch those together so that the right sides of the trousers are together. Pinch there, and then pin the rest of that left leg, and then I'm going to sew a straight 15mm seam allowance from that raw edge that I've already overlocked. And then once I get to the zip bit, I might start at the zip actually, but I'm gonna just use my zipper foot to do a row of stitches really close to seal in the end of the zip, and then you won't see all the messy bits from the outside. Okay, so next I need to do the waistband. So according to the instructions, I just need to press this right sides together, and I need to sew up this short end just with a straight line down that end, but then on this end, once it's folded in half right sides together, I need to do the same again, but make an L shape, and apparently this becomes like a buttoned or hook and eye overlap to sort of fasten the top of the waistband. So I'm probably going to use a button, because I think a black button might just be a bit more hidden on here. So I'm just going to press this in lengthways in half, and then sew those two ends. Okay, so I've done those two sides now, and then pressed it to the right side. So that's what that easy edge looked like, and this is what the L-shaped edge looks like. So now the long edge with the notches in, which is this edge here, I now need to pin that to my waistband on the trousers right sides together. Okay, so I've pinned my waistband on, and as I was pinning, the waistband didn't quite fit. So I double checked all my measurements. I checked the waistband on my actual waist, I measured the pattern, and I've cut everything out perfectly, and all the box pleats match the original measurements, but the waistband was still a tiny bit too small. So I'm not quite sure what happened. So what I've done to combat that is the box pleats at the back of the culottes, I've actually undid the box pleats and made them slightly bigger, and that seemed to do the trick. So even though I've checked everything, they will still fit me perfectly on my waist. I'm not sure what happened, but maybe I cut it out wrong, or I checked the pattern pieces. Basically, I have no idea, but that's how I've done it. I've undone the box pleats at the back of the skirt, well, culottes, and I just made the box pleats a bit bigger. Only by like ½ an inch, but now it fits. So I'm just gonna sew the one side of the waistband to the culottes, and then I'm just gonna finish it off with my overlocker to make the seam a lot smaller and a lot neater. And then apparently you just press all the seams away and then press the seam allowance on the raw edge of the waistband underneath, and then I'm just going to hand stitch that down. So that's going to take me a little while, and then I just need to hem the trousers. So I'm just going to secure this waistband on and then overlock the raw edge. Okay, so I've sewn my waistband on, and then I've used the iron to press all the seams upwards towards the waistband, and then I've ironed down the seam allowance of the other side, and I've pinned it from the front, catching like a couple of millimeters of the unsewn bit on the back. And what I'm hoping to do is just to make it a bit quicker so I don't have to hand slip stitch it all the way around. I know that would be super neat, but as it's so patterned, I'm hoping that I can be really clever and just from the front ditch stitch it really carefully all the way along. And if I can do that, then it will save me a lot of time and a lot of effort, but maybe it won't look as neat as if I did it the other way, but we'll see. Okay, so the ditch stitching worked. I mean, I've caught the inside edge by about 2 millimeters, which is perfect all the way around, and it's not too obvious from the front. It just looks like a line of shadowing. So actually, I mean, I know I'm showing it to you close up, but I think it's worked really well, and it obviously took a lot less time than doing it by hand. The next thing I did was create a buttonhole, and I just hand stitched on a little button for the overlap bit at the top of the zip. So, and I've also overlocked the bottom raw edge of the trouser hems, ready to turn up. So what I'm going to do now is try them on in front of the mirror and see where I want to hem them. Okay, so forgive me for showing you in my messy bedroom, and ignore the bedsheet over the window. I still haven't got a blind yet. But basically I quite like the length that they are, so I'm gonna only like hem them by like 1 inch, I reckon. I think, or maybe 1.5 inches, but I think they're like quite a nice length as they are. But oh my god, I love these so much. So I hope this is like a good enough angle. But there's my pockets, nice little box pleats at the front, and I can't really show you from the back, but I'll do some full body shots once I finish them. So I just need to hem them, yeah, I reckon by like 1.5 inches, maybe? Yeah, I think that'd be perfect, but oh my god, I love them so much. So I'm just so pleased with how these have turned out. I love the fit of them, I love the pleats. I did hem the legs by 1.25 inches in the end, and I love the length so much. The button and the zip worked out really nicely. I just think these look so good, and in this lovely African print fabric, I just think that they, you know, it really suits that style. They're slightly structured, but definitely washing the fabric made them more flowy, and oh, I'm just so in love with them. Really happy with how these have turned out. So I really hope you enjoyed that little sew along. Please, if there's anything you want me to clarify, or if you have any extra comments, please comment below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button because it really does make a difference for me. But yeah, I'm totally in love with these. I mean, I love the fabric anyway, the print is amazing, and actually I do think that although I was a bit nervous about doing something with African prints because of like the waxy textures and stuff, I'm really happy with how this turned out. And actually pre-washing or not washing your fabric makes a huge difference to sort of the feel and how it sews. So I'm just really, really happy with these, and it was a great learning curve for me. So yeah, I can't wait to wear them. So I will see you soon for another video. Happy handmade, everyone.